Good morning and welcome on this lovely spring morning here in Teaneck. We are speaking to you from the meeting house of the Ethical Culture Society of Bergen County, a welcoming humanist community. I am Susan Lesh, president of this society, and I'm here with Dr. Joseph Chuman, leader of our society, to talk about our shared experience in these, and I believe I quote you, Joe, extraordinary times. I'd like to open with a statement on ethical culture. What is ethical culture? Ethical culture is a religion of ethical relationships, a humanist movement in which ethics is central. We organize congregationally in order to live out our values in community with others, inspired by the ideal of perfected living that always lies beyond our reach. Together, we direct our efforts toward assuring a just and abundant life for all. So this morning we are coming to you via Zoom meeting in order to have social distancing, which unfortunately is necessary in order to stay safe and healthy right now. Just so you know, there are only 4 of us in the building this morning, which has been cleaned and sanitized. But I know that we have a number of people who are participating in our virtual community. As we begin our foray into the Zoom world, we will be experimenting with a variety of formats to bring our community together virtually. We've decided on the following ground rules for this morning. We will be muting all participants. We will have a question and answer period at the end of our 30-minute conversation. We think maybe 30 minutes. You can raise your hand in Zoom, type your question into the chat window, and if there is time, we may unmute you to ask a question. Please bear with us as we discover the best way to allow people to participate. And unfortunately, we may not get to everyone's question. Our topic this morning is community during these arduous times and the enduring relevance of ethical culture. So Joe, I know that I am feeling anxious, and at times I have a foreboding sense of doom, which is exacerbated by having to be distant from friends and family members. And I'd like to open up our conversation this morning by talking about these shared feelings and how our ethical values can relate to these.
Okay, thank you very much. First, Susan, I would just like to also extend a very warm welcome to everyone who, in effect, is accessing the Zoom program to be with us for this platform. This is an experiment. I work in 4 venues, and we've transformed into Zoom or some related modality, and I find that everybody is merciful. They're easy about it, knowing that we're all sort of learning the ropes, getting started, and so on and so forth. But it's so good to be here with you. And let me just say, to start off on a positive note, I'm tremendously inspired that the society, the Ethical Society, has made a commitment to keep all of its services, all of its programs going as much as we can through this alternative modality. I think we understand and appreciate the importance of the society, yes, the importance of the community, and the importance of striving to be together, even though we have to be apart at the same time. Let me start off with your question. I think it's important for us emotionally to be able to acknowledge our feelings in order to cope with them more effectively, and then maybe to some degree try to get beyond them, you know. The Chinese have an adage that says, may you live in interesting times. And what they don't mean is, may you live in times that are intriguing or engaging or fascinating. What that adage really means is, may you live in times that are challenging and difficult. Wow. And so I see it as particularly appropriate to this moment. We're in a unique moment. One has to go back, I think, to the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918 in order to find a parallel to what we're experiencing now. No one alive, or no one with a memory, in effect, has experienced what we're experiencing now. And I think that it appropriately generates a great deal of fear and anxiety. And I see anxiety as a type of extreme form of fear. Very often with fears, we are fearful of a specific object or threat or challenge, and we try to basically contain it and engage in maneuvers to offset our fear. Anxiety is excessive fear that emphasizes the uncertainty and the unknowability of those things that threaten us. And I think that this is a time of very great anxiety because there are many unknowns. There are many things that are uncertain. We feel, if I can use the metaphor, that there's an invisible enemy that is out there, but we can't see it. We don't know where it is. We sense it's there, and we sense it's potentially deadly. And that clearly gets under our skin. It unnerves us. It transforms our emotions. It's with us all the time, even if we at moments can escape it and are not conscious of it. So for example, we have to go out to the supermarket, and I've been out to the supermarket several times to get food. You simply do not know who in effect has the virus, the coronavirus, who in effect may be a carrier of the virus, even though they're symptomatic. Not symptomatic, they could be right there. We do not know whether it's be a friend or a stranger who has it. So everyone is a potential, in effect, I don't want to use the word enemy, but everyone potentially presents a danger to us. Yeah. That is very anxiety provoking. But a second aspect of this is that we don't know when it will end. Clearly our epidemiologists are trying to develop projections of it. The New York Times had a fascinating article yesterday with a map of the United States talking about how long it will last if we take no protective measures, if we engage moderate restrictions or severe restrictions and so on, but they were very clear to exempt themselves. There are a lot of variables, a lot of things can change, we do not know. So there are many, many causes for anxiety that indeed force us to cope with it and develop strategies as best as we can to feel emotionally as secure and as comfortable as we can in these times that are very discomforting, as we all know. Yeah.
I know that I am feeling anxious, as I said, and my family for all those reasons that you were saying. And I also think about our community members that are in their homes and may not have technological resources as we do. We've begun meeting via Zoom, which has been very good to see faces, not just voices.
Right.
And so can you talk a little bit about the ethical values that kind of impel us to do a bit more?
Right. Well, okay. I think we're the ethical culture society. We're concerned most of all about ethics. And I think that there are a range of ethical values that come to the surface that are highlighted by the unusual circumstances that we're confronting. And there are just a few things that I did want to mention, and then I want to talk about the ethical value of social support, which of course is intrinsic, central to ethical culture. But there are a few things that I think are highlighted, at least in my own mind, about the epidemic. One is its universality. The fact that everyone, there are 7.4 billion people who comprise humanity, and yet we are all in this together. The entire human community, the entire human family is indeed impacted by the pandemic, which in some sense builds a sense of if not community, a sense of commonality, how we share a common humanity, okay? A second point, and I think that this is an important value, is to understand the fragility of the human condition. That's important. I think we all walk around feeling secure in our being. We generally are not anxious. Anxiety is an episodic emotion, unless we have an anxiety affliction or whatever, as some people do. But we generally walk around self-confident. We're unmindful, generally of the risks that we confront and so on. But I think what the pandemic dramatically shows is how fragile humanity is. You know, there are science fiction apocalyptic notions of the Earth being basically impacted by an asteroid, and that will be planet? Well, those are fantastical notions that are statistically very small. Pandemics are not. And this is, in effect, this is not the first time this has happened to the human condition. It's happened regionally in many cases, but it demonstrates the fragility of the human condition. Today in today's New York Times, in the weekly review section, there was a beautiful article by Alain de Botton, who is a French philosopher, about Albert Camus' The Plague. And I'm sure that this is a book that is basically experiencing tremendous sales in these times, about a plague in the city of Oran and Algiers and a heroic doctor. But I think Camus was trying to make the point about the fragility of the human condition, that a plague is always possible, that there is therefore a type of absurdity in human life and so forth, and that we need to all confront that and rise to the occasion by extending ourselves to fight the plague. And we fight the plague through human solidarity, through bringing out the best in us, and so on and so forth. Together with the value of universality is a type of egalitarianism. The plague obviously transcends national borders. It is indifferent. It does not make any discrimination with regard to gender, race, ethnicity, class, belonging to a particular social group. All of us, in effect, are impacted by us. But it also, and here we get closer to ethical culture and to our very own community, in fact, and that is, I think, the circumstances we're in highlights the notion of our interdependence and how, in effect, we all have a moral obligation to one another. This is basically ethical culture's vision, that we are social beings. We're individuals, but we are also socially connected in the web of humanity. And this brings upon us a sense of obligation to one another, so that it is not merely sufficient to basically be self-protective. We in effect need to protect ourselves against the catching the virus from others, but we ourselves need to make sure that we protect others, that we cannot be selfish about it. And I think that the plague brings out the pandemic brings out the moral interdependence that we all have, both in terms of being self-protective, but at the same time, no less, being protective of you and of others, as of strangers, as of everyone whom we encounter in the human family. So what we have here, and I think it's somewhat redemptive, and I want to talk about this towards the end of our discussion, is a renewed appreciation for the importance and the strength of the human bond. We are social creatures and we need each other. And I think that in this time when we have to practice so-called social distancing, which when you think about it, Susan, is really an oxymoron. We are social creatures attracted to each other, and yet we are distancing from each other. So there's an oxymoronic, character to that phrase, right? But I think that because distance is forced upon us, what rises to the fore is even a greater recognition, and I would argue a greater yearning to make those connections. And this morning's effort through the miracle of modern technology is an effort to transcend that distance in order to basically stitch together again the connections which are intrinsic to our natures. And I think that when the cloud lifts and the plague is over, and it will come to an end, okay, one good thing, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, that may come out of this is that we will have a renewed and enriched sense of the importance of human solidarity, of human togetherness, of how important being together and mutually supporting each other and enriching our lives is to our own well-being, to our own existential understanding of what it means to be human and to be part of the human family. So let me end with that. There's a whole trove, I think, of ethical values that are always with us, but in this moment, gain a sense of salience, a sense of urgency, rise to the fore in our consciousness. And I think we should, as ethical culturists, be appreciative and awake to those values.
I know that I have been reaching out to people, phone calls, and I do feel sometimes I wake up in the morning very anxious, worrying about what new terrible thing I'm about to find out, given the news of, oh, now this is closed and now this is closed. And I do have a sense of wanting to curl up into myself, but knowing that that stepping out and saying, you need to reach out to someone, it makes me feel better. And, you know, then I begin to have my day. We've actually something that has begun at work, since we're now all working remotely from our homes, is we have set up a video chat every morning. So people they may not have showered yet, they may still be in their PJs, but we're all on video chat with our coffee and checking in with one another. And actually it gives great energy then to say, okay, well, now I can move forward in my day. So you pointing out that getting out of your shell and connecting in any way possible is really very important.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm proud of our ethical society because we've risen to the occasion. We are a community, and I think our sense of community is really beautifully manifest in the way in which we have basically attempted to respond to the community here at large. Let me make a broader statement about society. One thing that I've been inspired by is, in the absence of leadership coming from the top of society. We're not going to overly politicize this, but people know what I'm talking about. In the absence of national leadership that is coherent, that is inspiring, and so on and so forth. What amazes me and really inspires me is how much local leaders have risen to the fore. In effect, the leadership is coming at the grassroots and at the institutional level, which is quite amazing. I mean, I teach at Columbia University, which has 20,000 students and 7,000 plus professors, and overnight they transitioned from the classroom situation to using exactly this technology, Zoom. City University was a little slower, but they have made those transitions. It's local, and when I look at, in effect, I've got to say, regardless of what you may think of their politics in other ways, our local governors, Murphy and Cuomo, have created a regional alliance between Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Delaware, in effect, to try to create a unified program in this regard. So what we're seeing, in the absence, again, of national leadership, which I think is despicable, we are seeing, filling up that space, in effect, leadership coming from the grassroots. And I think it's determinative, it's smart, it is morally responsible, and I think is one source of inspiration. Now, talking about local leadership, I want to talk about our ethical society, which I'm very proud of. We have a membership committee, and the membership committee has made a commitment to reach out either through Zoom technology or by telephone, if people don't have the technology, is to reach out to all our members who are single, living alone, who may indeed feel more painfully the social isolation and so forth, contact them by home, see what their needs are, see if we can basically support them with some of those needs without putting ourselves, again, at risk and doing that. And also, I think the society does have, by our mere existence and our meeting together, does implicitly serve, if not explicitly, implicitly serve a pastoral function. And so, as I said at the beginning, what we're trying to do is basically provide whatever services and programming we do for people, which hopefully will shore up our sense of community and be inspirational to provide those needs for our members. And I think we're doing that with all due speed and with a sense of commitment, inspiration, even good humor, and so forth in these times. And I think it's a wonderful thing. I think our community, this is when ethics is put to the test, right? Not when times are easy, but when times are hard. And it was John Kennedy who said, when we're going to the moon, we do things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And this is hard, not overwhelmingly so, but it presents us with challenges. And I think we're meeting the challenges very, very nicely in ways that we can be proud of.
We actually talking about some of the supports we're putting in place. We have several people who have offered to be part of a tech team to try and help people be able to at least hear some of the platforms that we're going to be, oh dear, that we're going to be providing. So if you do have a computer and you weren't able to access Zoom, we do have people who are willing to kind of walk you through and help and see if you can get up to speed on that. And in our weekly announcements, you'll be getting information about that.
Yeah, no, we're doing that. I think we do have several members who are technologically very adept, and they've stepped up,
Yes.
as you mentioned. That's great. And, you know, sort of banking on what I had said at the very beginning, for some people who are not technologically adept, this may generate fear and anxiety.
Yes.
So this may be an opportunity for what we call sometimes felicitously a learning experience. So if you are one of those people who's intimidated by the computer, we have a great staff of volunteers who are willing to work with you to overcome those hurdles.
Yes.
And you'll have the joy of learning a new skill. Believe me, we all feel a certain sense of fulfillment in mastery.
Mm-hmm.
So gaining a new skill will be great, but it will also give you an opportunity to commune with the rest of us through this technology, which can be sort of you're looking at a screen. It can be somewhat entertaining, you know, and so forth if you learn the ropes and so
Yes.
forth and feel comfortable with it. So,
well, it really does add
Right.
to the experience of talking to someone and seeing them speak.
Right.
I had a conversation with my sisters. We have always done conference calls
Right.
just on our phones, but I really felt like I wanted to see them. And so we were able to connect in this kind of technology. You don't have to just use Zoom. That's what we're using right now, but there are other types of technologies that are video chatting. And it is a way to feel that connection even more, which is very helpful.
I have a good friend, let me just mention, there are all kinds of anecdotes we can spin about this, but I have a friend, I was on the phone with him last night, and he said that his children live in the same town, but not under the same roof. And one of the grandchildren actually suggested that they have a family dinner by Zoom, and they were all able to hook up at dinner time so they could watch.
That's a great idea.
Isn't that a great idea? So they could all watch each other eat.
Well, and have the conversation that comes
and have
along.
Conversation over dinner.
Yes,
right? So there are a lot of creative. Yeah, I know one for a person in Manhattan who has an open house. She just for several hours leaves the computer on, and if you want to check in, you can, you know.
That's wonderful.
So there are all kinds of creative, fun things you can do with it once you basically feel comfortable with the technology. And we have people who will help you do that, which is great.
Well,
so,
I would also say that we are allowed to take a walk.
Yes, we are.
As long as you maintain that 6 foot distance, you can take a walk. And I have found myself walking and smiling and saying hello to people across the street that I don't really know, but it is a connection.
Right.
And it does make you feel better.
It does, but you know, this is a time where there is, of course, isolation, particularly for people who are alone, and I live alone at this stage of my life, unfortunately, that, you know, does cause us, really does test us in a way. And I think what we have to do, all of us, is we have to look inward and dig deeper to find our sense of resilience and to be able to summon resources in order to more effectively cope and not lapse into despair or depression. And, you know, I have to say, and I'm not being pessimistic, I think I'm being realistic, as time goes on and this lasts longer and longer, it will become in many ways more difficult to endure. That our own sense of, our own defenses, our own sense of resources will be more greatly challenged. And therefore, we've got to dig deeper, and maybe now is a good time to begin to do that, to find those resources to be able to cope with the isolation, the loneliness, and so forth. And I'm waiting for it to really get warm. I really want it, because I have a beautiful backyard with woods and a whole menagerie of animals that live back there and so forth. And I make sure, even if it's cold, to spend time outdoors. I put on a coat and go outdoors. And I've tried to, and this is maybe just specific to me, to master a type of mindfulness in a way and look at the beauty that's around me, the small things in my backyard, whether it be the sunlight, the shafts of sunlight coming through the trees, which of course every day is different and so forth. Looking at the woodpeckers, which are spectacular, different species. I feed birds, I have 6 bird feeders on my deck, looking at the birds that come and their colors. I have a family of 6 deer that live in my backyard, and they visit every day, usually around sunrise and sunset. And, you know, just admiring. They're beautiful animals, very large, probably destroying the woods, but just as long as they stay on that side of the fence, they're okay. But, you know, admiring the wildlife and so forth. And one little historical note that I've always taken to heart is that Charles Darwin, who was a genius and the formulator of, you know, the theory of natural selection, evolution, had once said that he had garnered more data, more information that helped him develop the theory of evolution from strolls that he took in his own garden, rather than traveling on the Beagle around the world. In other words, it's sometimes the walks that are closest to home are the ones that are most revealing. And if we are able to focus, we're able to give our attention to those things that are nearby, we may see things that we otherwise do not see and do not recognize. And that was certainly true for Darwin, who was extraordinarily attentive to the world of nature and how things fit together, you know, in the ecological scheme of things. So I think we can use this maybe as an opportunity in some ways to develop other parts of ourselves. And I'm not being Pollyannish here. I mean, Nietzsche had once said that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. But I don't think anybody would want to endure surviving cancer in order to discover their fortitude. I mean, that, you know, runs its course after a while, and I don't wish bad things on anyone so they can learn benevolent or beneficent lessons as a result. But we are confronted with this. I mean, we have no choice. We are faced with this, and we have to make the best of it. And you know, hopefully we can discover within ourselves certain capacities, resources that we don't have and otherwise have. And for those people who aren't working, you know, this may be more time to, you know, to relax, to be with family if you are with family, to read more, to do those things that you've put off, maybe cleaning out all the detritus from, you know, your home office or your house and getting things in order. It's an opportunity, you know, to do some other constructive things that are productive. But we all have to find mechanisms to cope.
And we will be trying to help in that way. I know that we have a meditation series that you can join online, and we may be sharing film or book ideas to help you in developing your own resilience as you speak of that, Joe.
Yes.
So I would just like to end on a positive note, and if we can just talk a little bit about the hopes for the future that we can take with us.
Well, okay, there are several. Again, I tend to be a political animal, and I can't get away from it, right? Even these times, everything is political, right? Aristotle said that we are political animals and so forth, and everything has a political application. One thing, I just want to mention that and then get down to the more personal and so forth. In a political sense, you know, this is hard for us. The Ethical Society, I've already spoken to several members who have lost their jobs, okay? Unfortunately, for these people, they have enough resources that I think they can weather the economic storm. But remember, we live, despite what the pundits and officialdom tell us, that the economy is great, 40% of Americans have trouble every month paying their bills. 40% of Americans have less than $400 in savings. Multitudes of Americans subsist in low-wage jobs where they work for contractors or subcontractors and are being laid off. Now, the plan is for the federal government to dole out checks of $1,200. Well, that's nice. It may pay for part of your rent for the first month. It's not going to go very far. I feel, I hate to quote Bill Clinton, I feel the pain of those people and the anxiety of knowing that your job has stopped, the rent is due, you have children to feed. My goodness, it'll be a pandemic of anxiety in terms of unemployment, job loss for those people who have no resources to fall back on. One thing that I hope results from this after we're gone is that politically, Americans will recognize in dramatic form the state of the economy and how many people live on the margins and on the edge. And it will spur and invigorate, I should say, because that movement is aborting in many ways, invigorate a political movement to create a more egalitarian economy so that, in effect, we don't have this incredible wealth gap between the 1% and, the bulk of society, much of which lives on the edge. I want to see that change. I want to see a just, fairer society and so on in terms of economic distribution. That's my politics. That's my hope. Now, in terms of the more personal level, the personal, if not spiritual, if I can use that term level, is really what we've talked about. And that is a hope is that one thing that will come out of this is a renewed and deepened appreciation of the importance of the social bond, of our social relations, of mutual help, mutual support, friendship, caring, love, compassion. Those are the values that I think lie at the center of ethical culture, lie at the center of a humane life, and given my own humanistic values, lie at the center of a life that is truly worth living, the best life. And hopefully there'll be an enrichment of the importance of one another for each other, okay? And an enrichment of the social bond. That is my hope, one good thing that may come out of this, right? It's awful that we have to endure it. People will get sick and people will die. And it will become harder for us, I should say, when indeed that comes closer and closer. I've already heard a student of mine already who's shared the fact that she has loved ones who are, testing positive, and we will hear more of those, and it will move closer, and it'll be harder to endure, and so forth. But hopefully, at the end of this, we'll appreciate our common humanity, the importance of one another.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to now see if there are questions or comments, and I believe David is going to be moderating that.
That's right.
David.
So for those of you who want to speak, please raise your hand, and I mean that in Zoom. Don't just raise your hand physically, because I may not see that. And bear with me as I scroll through this list of people to see whose hand is up. We'll start with Eric. You are on, Eric. Eric Sandhusen. Eric, you are unmuted.
He's muted.
No, he's unmuted. Okay, we'll go on. Okay, let's go to Lisa Schwartz. Lisa.
Hi, so a few comments. Thank you so much, Joe and Susan, and a special shout out to our tech team. I can't say enough thanks for our tech team. Because
and thank you, Lisa, for being with us this morning.
Oh, you're welcome. But just a few things, the comments, and
Okay, you speak up a little bit. The sound is a bit muffled.
Hold on, I'm going to turn you up right here a little bit, and I think I'm going to turn this closer.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Lisa, I can hear you.
Okay. So just a few things I want to say. On behalf of the membership committee, I am so happy to see Marinka and Peter and Esther from Holland. And it's great to see you guys. We were just kind of talking today on text, so it's just great to see your faces. This is one of the wonderful things about this time. We're getting to see people we otherwise don't see. Also, Rachel, Jonathan in Vermont. I see that you're on. Welcome. It's great to see you. Hello. Ellen and Richard, I saw someplace. They're just over the bridge in New York, but we don't get to see you very much. And just, I don't know if I'm missing anybody from afar, but I just wanted to put a special shout out to you guys who we're getting to see when we otherwise don't get to see you. So welcome. And I mean, that's it from my comments, except I do want to acknowledge that I know we usually do birthdays and during our platforms to acknowledge birthdays. Did you do that, Susan?
Well, actually, this is the middle of the month. We did do birthdays at the beginning of the month, and we will anticipate in April doing that. So,
well, I just want to acknowledge that today is your birthday.
Yeah.
So I just
happy birthday.
And it's Perry Stein's birthday. Today is their actual birthday.
Oh,
so
Perry too,
I just wanted to mention that. So welcome everybody, and Janet, it's great to see you. It's just great to see everybody. So you know, as Joe said and as Susan said, we're all in this together. And I know for me, with all my anxiety and depression, it's these kinds of connections that we can make electronically, and our walks and other things, gardening, meditation, that just keep me going during this time. So thank you to this community and everybody who's here and doing what they're doing to keep us connected. Thank you.
Can we all sing happy birthday to Susan and to Perry if we unmute everybody?
Well, the problem is Zoom doesn't do a great job of that, but you can try.
All right.
Just
Well,
keep it positive and festive.
Actually, let's actually take some questions, right? So we'll go to, thank you, Lisa. We'll go to Lenny or Allison.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, hi, how are you? Welcome.
Hey guys.
We're very, very grateful that you have done this. You're touching our hearts and our souls.
Yes.
I read an article and you were discussing changing the language. Instead of saying social distancing, why don't we say physical distancing, because we don't want to socially distance.
That's a great comment.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Lenny?
So I think this is Pam, but I'm not sure. It's just the description just says Galaxy Tablet AB. I will unmute you. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I want to say something positive. Because of all of these things that we cannot do any longer, nature is getting healthier. We can see the sun brightly and more clearly. There are no issues with traffic polluting our area. And so this pandemic is kind of a good thing in that we're healing our nature first, and then we need to heal ourselves. And so it wasn't a question, it was a positive remark. And I wanted to wish happy birthday to Susan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Pam. I'm so glad
Thank you, Pam.
Pam actually was able to connect here because of the tech team, and it's just great to see you here. So thanks,
Our
Pam.
first success story.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back to Eric again. Let's see, I'm having a little, there you go.
Well,
Okay.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, good. All right. I changed my microphone I had a little instability in the internet. But I wanted to just make a mention, tying in on what you said, Susan, about keeping people connected and the ethical enrichment programs that we have. A lot of them are going to move online. So, for example, Do Tell, which is our True Story Night, is going to happen on April 1st. So if you have a good April Fool's story, bring that. So that'll, again, move online. And I also want to mention that we're going to start an online game night. And in fact, we have Paulo Ribeiro is going to be leading that, and that'll start tonight. It's going to be twice a week. And so go to ethicalfocus.org, look at the Facebook page, because we're going to have a notice put up on the Facebook, Meetup, all over the place. You're stuck at home, come on out virtually and play a game and tell a story And we're going to have Socrates Cafe, put in another plug for that. That'll be the last Monday. And so there's a lot going on. So stay tuned to your computers.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Oh, I was muted. Sorry. Thank you, Eric. Oh, you guys are not muted, no, but I'm not hearing you. No, well, in any case, oh, you muted yourself on your computer. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. Now, someone, I wasn't sure who that was, wanted to try singing Happy Birthday. Oh, but I'm not. Is that Ron? Well, let me try and, should we do that, Susan? Okay, sure. I'm going to unmute everyone.
It doesn't work.
Oh, this guy.
We'll see if this works. I don't know if it will.
Try it. You are going to leave it. Not me. You are.
Maybe Eric has a piano.
Well, we can try. I think it's not going to work. We have a lot.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday
to you. Birthday to you. We're conducting.
Okay, I am back to having muted everyone because we were getting a lot of audio feedback. I think that
we are going to be, actually, the ethical music makers are trying to use a different platform because Zoom didn't really seem to have the capability of allowing multiple people. But I appreciate so much everybody singing me happy birthday, and thank you you so much.
It's the intention that counts.
Okay.
It's new meaning to the word cacophony, I think, right?
Okay, Deb Scrow, you're on.
Hey, thanks. I just wanted to mention that Barbara is trying to raise her hand. She was physically raising her hand. So maybe you could turn on her mic.
Sure. Okay, Barbara, you are unmuted.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I think this is a fabulous idea. I really appreciate all that you've done and very interesting. One positive that I've seen when I take my dog out for walks late afternoon is how many families are out walking and biking. And I got on my bike the other day. It was wonderful without all the traffic to be able to ride. And I want to say a special welcome to the Herrings and how important it is with our social parties, because I haven't seen Esther in years, but I think it was the Kellys that had a game party at their house, and we all had the name of a famous person pinned on the back of us. And when I see Esther, if I'm correct, I think you were Scarlett Johansson. Do you remember? And I think that your brother Robert was Robert Redford on the back of him. So when I see you, that's the image that I'm thinking of. And I was thinking of Marika and Peter this week when I read something in the Times, and I was planning to send it to you. Now I'm not sure where it is in my pile of things, but there was a community in Holland where they're building houses using unique things. And one house was generated by somebody pedaling a bicycle, and the house turned toward the sun all during the day. I don't know if you're familiar with that community or not. Okay, well, I will find the article and I'm going to send it to you as I was thinking of you. So it's great to see you all.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, Rob Eigenbrod, you are on. And I should say Rob is also part of the tech team.
He's right here.
And he's right there.
I'm glad we're able to do this. I'm glad it's working so well, and I'm glad it's so many people on. I just wanted to say that Christina is not here today, but she has been busy making masks for people to wear.
Really hard to hear him. Rob, can you come forward somehow?
Yeah.
Maybe come to this microphone. Is your microphone off?
No. Can you hear me if I speak like this? No?
No.
Why don't you
Well,
here?
yeah,
I'm I'm going to transfer to another.
But we're going to keep 6
Here.
feet
Six distance. Surprise, I'm right here. Quick question for anybody. Christina's at home now.
Yeah, mention what Christina's doing. I think people missed that.
Sure. So Christina is making masks for hospital workers and people who need to be wearing masks. But the item that is in short supply everywhere is elastic. So if anybody has any elastic, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, 3/8 inch, corded, any kind of elastic, please reach out to me or to Christina, or I guess to David. He certainly can find us if you don't know how to find us. That would be great, because there's a big demand for it right now, and as I say, elastic is what's holding it up for a lot of people. So sorry to interrupt us for that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Rob.
great.
Okay,
Thanks for your.
let's go to Matt Kelly. Matt Kelly.
Ah, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you all, and I'm really grateful that we are doing this right now.
Yeah, great to see you too. Great.
Our kids are downstairs entertaining themselves, listening to Harry Potter while we get to chat with you all.
And we are going to be working on getting a virtual Sunday school going. May not be simultaneous with the platform experience, but we're working on that. This is Lindsay Siegel with Matt Kelly.
Thank you. And I just wanted to share, Matt and I have been spending the last week both trying to work full-time and homeschool our children, which is a whole new experience. The teachers have been absolutely incredible. So if you have any educators in your life, thank them for the work that they are doing, because they've been sending home, daily curricula for the children across all their different subjects and keeping our kids focused and moving forward with their schoolwork. And it is a fascinating new challenge for us to try to be their educators. And one of the things that has been a spark of hope and kind of brightness is the fact not only that the teachers are taking such good care of the kids, but also so many different community organizations and children's book authors and creative folks have been putting out content for free for children to help keep them socially connected and inspired as they are home. So I just thought that would be something that's worth sharing. And for anybody who has this time on their hands, I think there's a ton of available content if you're looking to draw, or you're looking to learn sign language, or you're looking to, take a history lesson. There's a ton of stuff that's available and free online. And it seems like every cultural institution is making all sorts of curricula available to all.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go to Terry Karp.
Hi, everyone. It really warms my heart when I opened up the meeting and I already saw people, and then I saw so many of you join. It makes me feel like that we're such a resilient community, flexible and positive, and willing to do what needs to be done to stay together. So thanks for that. And this isn't the only initiative that we're doing to do that. There's also, I think, an important component is a private, we've always had a Facebook group. We have various social media that I encourage you to follow and join and whatnot. But there's a brand new one for just us, just who we are. It's a closed Facebook group. I know nobody loves Mark Zuckerberg's politics, but let's not let that get in the way of using this fantastic tools to stay together. At least that's what I suggest. So there's already, well, there was like over 55 people last time I checked. People are sharing poetry, sharing, forming a movie club, sharing online classes, looking for recommendations. So if you're interested in joining and you're not on Facebook, give me a call. My number's in the directory. I'd be happy to walk you through the process of joining Facebook and getting you into this closed Facebook group where we're just talking amongst ourselves. Only members are going to be allowed to join, not the riffraff, you know. And I think that'll be another way to help us stay together.
Terry is also part of our tech team. So if you're trying to, if you know people who were not able to connect this morning, but who wanted to, she's part of our tech team. He's mute.
Can't hear you, David.
Oops, sorry, thank you. I'd like to add that Ed Gross proposed a film in that private group, which Susan and I watched last night. It's a wonderful film. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Terry. Let's go to Marinka Herring from Holland.
Okay, I just wanted to have a very short message to thank you. It's really great to see you all in this way, and furthermore, I don't want to take up a lot of time. We're in the we're all in the same boat, and let's see where things will bring us. And it's nice to see how it inspires the community to build a community all over the world. Thanks for your attendance, and who know where it will bring us in the future.
Yeah, and
thank you.
It's great to see you, and thank you, Peter, for sort of being part of my Twitter cohort, which is really nice. It's great to hear from you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also,
and of course, sorry, was Peter Herring, Marinka's husband.
Right.
And Marinka actually quilted our ethical symbol quilt right
There it
here.
is.
So
right, she's on. Right, there you go.
thank you, Marinka.
Okay, let's go to Linda Bennett.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We've talked about some of the things we're doing. How about what we're going to do about next week's platform and succeeding platforms?
So as yes, when we're finished with our questions and answers, we will hear about that. And if now is the time, that is fine.
Well, let's try and get through the questions, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, thank you, Linda. Eric.
Hi. So just taking a look at the gallery view, I want to welcome Ken Karp. I see you're on the USS Enterprise there, taking social distancing to new heights, if you will, and hope you make your way back to Earth before too long. But don't text and drive, okay? Don't need you crashing that thing. So anyway, it looks like a lot. It looks like a lot of fun what you're doing there.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to keep my social distance, so I'm across the galaxy right now.
That's very good. That was it.
Thanks. David, you're muted.
Thank you, Laszlo or Edna. Not sure who it is. Berkowitz.
Actually, just one first deposit on a positive note. I think we could, if you're looking for the future, maybe we should continue with this one for people who are not on, you know, who cannot get the meetings or far away. So
yes,
right,
everybody can participate. Second thing I want to say is I think, and I don't raise it, but we will have to get ready for some more dystopic scenarios that are bad to think at this moment. That's about it.
Thank you, Laszlo.
Okay, thank you, Laszlo. Eric is back. Oh, wait, Eric, your hand is up again, I see.
Oh, I'm still muted, it says.
No, you're
says
unmuted.
I'm not muted. So, Ed, kind of taking on what Laszlo was talking about, obviously we've seen some panic buying here. And I want to let people know we have a couple of extra rolls of toilet paper if anybody's in real need. You know, I wonder if there, you know, is there an opportunity for us to create that type of collective around commodities that may get into short supply should we move into a more dystopic scenario?
Idea. We haven't entertained that yet, Eric. It's a new idea for us. Maybe what we can do is get an inventory. Members can call in or email us, maybe to the office, and we can see what the needs are and then figure out ways in which we can meet those needs.
And our membership committee is reaching out to those people who are mostly isolated, so they may have a need that cannot get met by having a family member just go and drive to a different store. So that's a great idea, and we will put that in the list of things to consider.
Hey, Paulo Ribeiro. I'm having a little trouble. Oh, there you go. Okay, Paulo, you're on.
I just wanted to do a little shameless plug. We're going to be doing some online games, not necessarily the games being online, but running games through Zoom and stuff like that, starting tonight at 7:30. So we're going to try to do that twice a week, at least for the next 10 weeks. I probably won't want to do that forever, but during this quarantine period, I would like to make myself available and give people a chance to do something fun. So yeah, if you're interested, join us 7:30 tonight.
That's great, Paolo.
And Paolo, is that, are you using the society's Zoom account or a different Zoom account?
I'm running it through Adult Ed, so I assume it's going to be the same.
So it'll be
channel.
So it'll be the same URL, the same meeting ID. That's what I was getting at, right?
Yeah. So it'll be Sundays and Thursdays, 7:30.
Terrific.
Isn't that great? Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Paolo. Okay, thank you. Okay, Lisa Schwartz.
I just wanted to address Eric's question about that, and just Susan, you alluded to it, but yeah, we are doing that. We're doing kind of a needs assessment when we're making our calls, and that's part of it, asking people what their needs are. And then anybody here who has any needs, whether they need shopping, we have people who are willing to do that and able to do that. So that's part of what we're doing when we make our phone calls. And then we're putting together a list, and it's going out to the people who have offered to do that. So that's something that is being done. And just want to welcome two more people on behalf of the membership committee, and that's Vera and Frank Brown. So welcome. We don't get to see you much, and you're here too. So.
Hey, you are great.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, I see no more hands raised, but I want to give people who have dialed in a chance. People who have dialed in on the phone have no way to raise their hands. So there are only 4 people, and I think one of them may actually be Pam. So I'm just going to quickly unmute them and call out their phone number. And if you want to say something, go ahead. And if not, say nothing. So the first one will be the phone number ending in 3871. 3871. Do you have anything? No. Okay, we'll move on. The phone number ending in 1331. Do you have anything?
Hi, this is Jean Strickhold.
Oh, hi, Jean.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, and I'm so pleased I could connect on the phone. I haven't quite figured out getting the visual picture yet, but it's just wonderful to
on it right away.
We'll call you.
Right. I enjoyed hearing everybody today, and I'm fine, and I hope everybody else is fine.
Yeah, Jean, we'll be in contact to get you set up for the full experience.
Visuals.
Great.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, let's go with the phone number ending in 5695. 5695, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, who is this? Yes, who is
Mary.
this?
Mary Cummins.
Oh, hi, Mary.
Mary, hi.
Hi. Nice hearing all of you.
Yeah, nice to hear you too.
I'm just walking around doing my little chores. I don't have you on picture either, but it's nice to be able to do what I have to do. Keeps me moving.
Okay.
So now I'm sitting in my easy chair.
Okay.
And I've heard the whole thing, and I'm delighted that Linda Bennett came over and helped me see how to do this yesterday, and now I have somebody to talk to. Well, that's nice.
Thanks. Great. Okay. Let's go to the phone number. I think we may have tried that before. 57095. No? Okay. And the last one, which we may have tried already, is ending in 3871. No. Okay. So, oh, we do have two more hands up. Dan and Elaine, go ahead.
Hi, just calling your attention to the fact that Barbara Landberg is raising her hand physically, and I think we'll have to give Barbara a tech lesson on how to do it through the app.
Yes,
But
yes. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you. Barbara, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask Paolo if there's any chance he would start the game thing at 8, since 60 Minutes is on from 7 to 8 tonight, that a lot of us might want to watch.
Let's see, I'm trying to find Paolo here so he can respond. Paolo, okay.
Generational based question.
That's right.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't know. I mean, maybe Eric, because since he was the one sort of who organized all this, if that's an issue, we can certainly move it to 8, I think. I don't know. I mean, it'll be going on for a while too, so you can jump in whenever. That's the other thing.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Paolo. Eric, you are back.
Yes, hi. So I just wanted to let Barbara know that if you go down to participants and click at the bottom of your screen on participants, that will open a window, and then you'll see a little click to raise hand. That's how you can do your virtual hand raise. And then it pops up. You see where participants is? Anyway.
We'll give Barbara a call and we'll talk her through it.
Yes. So I we'll consider the 8 o'clock, but at least for tonight, I think we're going to do it at 7:30. And I do want to say that we have a separate, I did set up a separate meeting link for the game night. So
it's a different link. It's not the same URL.
No, it's not. It's a different link.
Okay. So how will you publicize that?
Something on the Facebook page. If you look on the Ethical Culture Facebook page, events, I will by early afternoon, I'll have a game night event that you can, we'll have that link. So you'll be able to click on the link through our Ethical Culture Facebook page events.
Okay, great. And I think people can also email you for it, or Paolo.
People can email me for it as well, of course.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
The one other thing I would say too is that the game that we're going to try to play tonight is actually a board game, but if you're playing at home, all you need is a score sheet. So I will be posting the PDF of that score sheet, so you can print it out. If you don't have access to a printer, there's also an app as well that you can put on your phone or on a tablet.
Excellent. Thank you, Paolo. Thank you, Eric. Linda Bennett.
I just want to point out that I see a lot of other people without visuals. I don't know if they're phone or what they are, but I see we've got Afina and Andrew Tulaszewski, Len and Allison.
Right. They either couldn't get it working or chose not to.
Okay.
We're still undressed.
Okay, thanks.
About time to wrap things up, David?
It is.
All right.
So
I would like to thank Joe this morning.
My pleasure.
For speaking with us.
Sure.
Also, Rob Eigenbrod was our videographer, and David Bland was our Zoom moderator, and our tech team this morning was Rob and David. Please stay tuned for our announcements for our weekly platforms and our weekly services via Zoom or whatever online platform we're going to choose. Next week at 11 o'clock in the morning, we will have Casey Olesko, Communications Director at Planned Parenthood of Northern, Central, and Southern New Jersey and Planned Parenthood Action Fund of New Jersey. Casey will speak about Planned Parenthood in these challenging times, and it will be via Zoom on this meeting ID. So you'll see information about that in our weekly announcements.
It'll be an interview again.
It will be an interview. Right. Okay, but it will be different. We will not be at the meeting house. It will be people separated. Right. So yet another wonderful journey. So thank you for joining us this morning. We hope to see you soon, either virtually or in person.
I would like to add this entire session has been recorded and will be posted on Facebook and on YouTube.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Okay. thank you, everyone. And with that, we'll close the meeting. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.